I saw like somebody tweeted about these entrepreneurs, these really rich entrepreneurs who are, you know, doing all kinds of space projects and stuff. And the people were like, I don't know, kind of complaining. Some were complaining about it. It's like, oh, it's all tax money and shit like that. But these people have basically like exploited the system, and they get like tax money as some kind of a fucking compensation. I don't even know. But you know, in my opinion, if the system is set up so that they can do it and get whatever compensation there, then that's the way it is. I mean, if you're not an entrepreneur and if you're not making a lot of money or don't have a lot of fucking stuff you have to worry about, a lot of assets, then you probably don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. I mean, even if it's not like the most ethical thing to do, maybe it's still like these options are out there, and I think it's most people who say that it's not right to do would do that regardless if they were in those entrepreneurs' positions, because they just don't know what it's like, you know, because they are not in that same position. They haven't experienced anything like that. Would they turn down like 100 million if they would get that opportunity to get that money legally? I'd like to see those people like who actually do that in real life. Like, all they do is talk. Also, I'm not saying like I don't really understand this completely, the subject, but I can imagine that, you know, this is the tendency that people have, like they judge too easily people and the situations, and they overestimate they're biased, so they overestimate their ability to basically make decisions. They think they are better human beings than they actually are. They overestimate their abilities for sure. Because it's so easy for some common folks to judge somebody who's like, I don't know, less than 1% of the population, who's so rich that most of the people will never make that money during multiple lifetimes. They don't know what it's like or to be in that position. So critique is often just like biased and like some emotional, I don't know, some moral high ground stuff where people think that like they are somehow better than just because they don't have that opportunity even to do those things. Nobody's giving them 100 million, so they get maybe a little greedy, or they think it's their tax money. Like, you have chosen to vote for politicians that make those laws and decisions that make all this possible. So it's kinda your fault that you have accepted to live in this system. It's not the super rich that like are at fault if anything, it's everybody's fault, like, who accept the way that things are and still vote for things that, or basically who are part of the broken, like a faulty system. It's easy to complain, basically. But not many people are actually going the extra step to actually do something productive. Anyway, also I saw this one guy said something like that he's fine with these projects that go to space, and but as long as it's sustainable and considers long-term sustainability, which I think would be great in theory, but in practice, in my opinion, it's just my opinion. I'm not a physicist. I'm not a scientist, but you know, common sense would say that these projects are so unique, such a niche area, that thinking about sustainability seems like a little bit like an overkill. Like, basically, if you go into space, you are doing something extremely novel. Like, it's like discovering new lands and oceans thousands of years ago. You just bring sacrifices to get there and to do stuff like that. Like, I think it's super naive to think that it should be sustainable. Like, it's like an area that requires a lot of resources. There's just no way around it. Like, and the energy that it takes to get to space. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sustainability? What the fuck? It's like, you want to get there, you want to get all those new discoveries, but you're not willing to pay the price. This is pretty much what that person was saying. That's how I see it. Well, you gotta pay the price, there's no way around it. Because those first steps, just, it is what it is. It's a net loss, in some sense. There's no way around it. It can't be some kind of a easy thing where everybody's like not taking losses. And on the other hand, like, it might be urgent, like, waste all those resources, because we don't know how long we are able to survive on this planet. Like, we might be here for another 500,000 years, or we might be here for another maybe only 5,000 years, maybe not even that. So let's say something should happen, some catastrophe, so that there is literally no way to continue life on Earth, then you can't talk about sustainability. Like, you just need to figure out who gets to the fucking spaceship and who gets left behind. And whatever resources it takes, you gotta figure out how to get to somewhere else where you can survive. And at some point in the future, this moment will come. Like, it's inevitable. If we, like, as a human race, manage to even, survive for that long. But there will come a point where we need to find, like, another spot to live. Like, this Earth isn't, like, forever. So talking about sustainability in really long term kind of doesn't make sense even. But in this, like, a little bit shorter term, it's a nice idea, obviously, but imagine if humankind has to find another place to live, another planet. And maybe we would have to even store our genetics if we're really, really fucking serious about it. Because physically our bodies can die, right? But if we somehow manage to deliver some technology like AI or robots to a habitable environment somewhere else, and we have those robots that will rebuild us from the stored genetics, then, basically as a humankind we can rebuild ourselves. I think I watched some movie that was had a really similar similar script, where I think they were like also trying to recover humans from genes or something like that, gene material. I can't recall the name of it. I guess that's why I'm so fucking fascinated by it. Why I'm thinking about it. Even though that was science fiction, it seems like so reasonable thing to do. What day? Is it Thursday? Yeah, it's Thursday. I think it's tomorrow. Was it tomorrow? When Path of Exile. New league, yeah. Is about to start. Yeah. 7 hours. 1 day, 7 hours. That's nice. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. my time. Oh, yes. Usually I play like first couple of days, maybe a week, and then I'm done. Maybe I can find some willpower to push through, and obviously a lot depends how well I'm able to progress and whether I'll rip a lot or not. If I rip a lot, then this is probably get bored real quick. Let's see how it goes. I guess I could talk about binaural beats. It's really interesting thing. Basically, at some point, somebody mentioned binaural beats to me. Some poker. I was like hanging around in some poker chat many years ago, and some dude mentioned the binaural beats, and I decided to check it out, what it is and all that. And I tested all kinds of things. You know, binaural beats, you listen to them through your headphones, and it affects your basically how your brain works. You can change the frequency that your brain is at, basically. Like, it's not like a switch, direct switch, but it can affect brain tries to kind of align itself to the frequency it's like interpreting. You get like one frequency from one ear and the other frequency, which is a little bit different than the first frequency, and brain interprets the result as some third frequency, and here we go, it tries to align it to that third frequency. For example, you could let's say you want to relax, and when you relax as a human being, your brain is in a certain relaxed state, and that, you know, reflects from the, if you connect your brain to some oscillator that measures the frequency or whatever impulses that are coming from the brain, that those impulses are different, and the relaxed state has just a like a certain type of pattern or frequency. So you listen for like half an hour or an hour, the right frequency, and then you're relaxed as fuck. Or you can listen to some frequency that makes you more creative. Let's say you want to create poetry, or you want to paint something, or be more creative, and that can help. I tested it and it actually works. Like, it's fucking amazing. Oh, one thing I did, I wanted to become like more talkative, and I've talked about it in the past, but anyway, I took myself to this hypnotic state that's, I don't know, is it like delta frequency or theta or something like that, maybe gamma, I don't remember, some hypnotic state. And then I pre-recorded myself some affirmations. Basically, I used the program to do all this. The program allows you to listen to binaural beats and these affirmations that you record. And I recorded something like, I want to be more social and talkative and stuff like that. And I feel at ease around people and stuff like that, because I felt like I didn't feel too comfortable around people. And after listening to this stuff, it goes to your subconscious. Basically, you reprogram yourself. I remember I became super talkative and like a lot more open, and like, I don't know, I literally changed. And that was quite amazing. So weird how you can reprogram yourself like that. Just listen to some beats and fucking 30 minutes later you're making I don't know, you're rapping. Maybe you get yourself to the right frequency for to be in the zone, or how you call it, like in a flow state, so that all this stuff comes like automatically, intuitively. Really, really interesting thing to experiment with. Obviously, it's not. For some reason, it's not recommended. I read the program's manual. I think it was like Neuro Programmer or something like that, and it had a warning like, do not fucking use this program under influence and stuff like that. It's basically, don't do drugs. But I tested it while I was high on weed, and listening to some binaural beats while you're stoned. It's like I had to lower the volume because it was so difficult to, process all that stuff, because you become so fucking sensitive to it. Yeah, that was interesting nevertheless. And my personal opinion, obviously, is that as long as you do do it like properly, it can enhance the process of whatever binaural beats you are listening to, because it allows you to more effectively access your subconscious. You can more directly access your subconscious, in my opinion. And you become more sensitive. What does that mean? It means you are more receptive. If you listen to some sound, like right now, I listen to music. When I get high, I listen to that same thing, and I listened. All of a sudden, I can pick up elements of that music or notes or whatever that literally weren't there before, or that my brain didn't register before. Then that tells a lot about that state of mind. It just allows you to be more receptive. It's not necessarily a good thing, like overall, if you doing something stupid with it. Like if you're listening to, let's say, if you're in a negative space somewhere and you listen to some negative get some negative input, obviously that goes directly to your brain. This is not good. So you have to avoid that. Basically a set and setting. Or how do you say that? Set and setting. Doesn't sound right. Set and setting. Anyway, I use that those affirmations and binaural beats also to get rid of like nicotine addiction, smoking at some point. And it really, like, it was so interesting. I listened to this affirmation and that affirmation sounded, or was something in the lines of, I want to live a healthy life. I want to be healthy. And what that does to your subconscious is your subconscious now wants to be healthy. And everything that's not unhealthy or not healthy goes against that rule. Now you really don't want to do it anymore. So it's really effective. For For example, when you say to yourself that you don't want to smoke tomorrow, or you say to yourself that I stop smoking tomorrow, and you wake up next morning, then you still want to smoke. You you might remember that you said to yourself and gave yourself this promise, but you still want to smoke for some reason. And why the urge is so strong is because subconscious doesn't recognize when you just say, no, I just stop doing something. Because there is no like a reason given to the subconscious. Why would your subconscious should stop experiencing this pleasure? Because what subconscious gets is a pleasure. It gets pleasure. But once subconscious is told that it wants to be healthy, then it understands it. And next morning, whatever you said the previous evening to yourself, whether you want to keep on smoking or not, next morning, if you see that smoke and you want to do it, then you get instantly this subconscious thought that, but I want to be healthy. And you can't, almost like you don't want to smoke anymore. You can't do it because it goes against your very core beliefs. Like it's now programmed in your hardware. Because this is what your subconscious basically is, your operating system. That's why this just say no policy was so ineffective. It doesn't work like that. People's brains do not react to that. It doesn't work like that. Instead, they should have said, people, you need to be healthy. You need to want to be healthy. And that's the only thing that matters. You don't need to say no to anything. Just want to be healthy. That's the problem, because some things, you know, it's not like black and white also. You can't make a decision that's 100% healthy or 100% unhealthy. There are no such decisions. And subconscious realizes that, obviously, because fucking... is it unhealthy when I eat? In some sense it's unhealthy. It's like always unhealthy. There is always something, some price to pay for whatever you do. Anyway, I remember when after listening to those affirmations, when we used to like smoke cigarettes with everybody around me was pretty much a smoker. Like, so when I met my friends, we usually just smoked some cigarettes and shit. And I remember when I was offered a cigarette, or I saw people smoking, and I usually started smoking too then. I remember that instant thought that popped up in the back of my head that said, oh no, I want to be healthy. I don't want to do this. And that was so fucking surprising. It was like my own thought that was planted in my subconscious, and it popped up like randomly, like boom. And it was there because I listened to those affirmations. It's so interesting to observe how something pops up from your subconscious. It's so strange. Because it's like a new thing for you at some point when you stop smoking, and then you start thinking that you need to be healthy all the time. That's like a new thing. And then you basically observe this like a strange new thought popping up. Another interesting thing that I've done with those binaural beats is that before you go to sleep, you can listen to some frequencies to see lucid dreams, to induce those. And I don't know, it works for me. And because, I read a little bit about how hypnosis works and how subconscious works, and because you need to know a little bit about it if you really want to be effective when you're fucking messing around with your own brain. You just gotta know a little bit how that works. That led me to something, that and the fact that I got how do you say that, busted for growing weed. And then I started to think like, why the fuck is weed illegal here? And at the same time, people go to the grocery store and buy alcohol and cigarettes. And that's not in line with the principles of the law. Obviously, there are no principles, but let's say there are. They say they have principles, but they don't. Anyway. Then I started thinking, like, what happens when people go to the grocery store and see those bottles of alcohol and all the time? What happens is that at the grocery store is, for most people in like Western world, grocery store is the place that you can get food from, right? And food is like a primary need. And for subconscious, every time you satisfy that primary need, your subconscious now associates grocery store with survival. You go to the grocery store, you get food, you survive. Good. This is good. Right? That's exactly how brain works, subconscious. But what happens when every time you go to the grocery store, there's obviously you might not see alcohol bottles, but most people probably see at some point alcohol and cigarettes and all that stuff. What happens? So you see it gets associated with survival, whether you like it or not. And subconscious doesn't have any filters there. It doesn't rationalize it. It doesn't think because it's unhealthy that it's a bad thing. It just associates that with survival, and it associates it with food, and therefore that literally programs every single person who goes to the grocery store just to survive, to accept these drugs as like vital things almost that they need, or at least that are like natural somehow. And people don't question that just because of that, because it's associated deeply in their subconscious with survival because of this food aspect. And these things should never be in a grocery store. Never. For that simple reason. Yet we have laws that is like forbid cannabis and allow this grocery store with alcohol, where they literally like program you to think like it's like a normal thing. It goes against any fucking principle that they use against you when they want to bust you for weed. They're literally doing all those things, but they're doing it in public and in the grocery store. And they say they have principles, which is funny. And I don't know if I had understood or made that connection if I didn't like look into the subconscious thing and all these binaural beats and the hypnosis. Would have been a lot more like difficult to understand this connection. And it's so weird how we live like in a society and everything that surrounds us and is like accepted and just because it's there. It's like when you walk around with a key in your hand and you forget that you're holding the key in your hand and you're searching for that same key that's in your hand. Because that key in your hand, you forget about it. You don't realize you're holding it. Same thing with the society. Things that are pretty much under your own nose sometimes are the most difficult to notice. Just for that same reason, because it's so obvious, so like normal. Or you live in that bubble and you don't get to break that bubble because you don't see any further somehow. I even tried to do some petitions to see what happens regarding this grocery store thing where they sell certain things there. And I think it sparked like some interest in the society, and actually now they don't show certain drugs in the grocery store anymore. It's hidden, more hidden at least. So it did something, I guess. At the same time, when you do a petition, it's like some things will just not get through. Some things will get ignored, literally ignored. All you get is like a formal reaction, like people in power or like power, whatever. Politicians, politricks. They're basically they're humans, and they have flaws, and some things will just not go through, even if those things are perfectly like. When I follow perfectly like a democratic process, I get enough votes with a petition. That petition will not go through certain individuals. You don't get the yes vote because of this certain wall of ignorance. And I think that democratic process in terms of weed legalization does not work. It's been ignored. It's such a taboo topic that just people forget about democracy as soon as they need to do something that's actually requires to be objective. People are not objective. And they have so many fears, like unreasonable fears that there because of this propaganda. It's strange. It is really, really, really strange. Society is a very complicated thing. People's fears and emotions are oftentimes more valued than rational thought. Even like politics is the same thing. People vote more likely based on their some subconscious whatever desires and stuff. They vote emotional basically. Even the promises that are given are oftentimes like by politicians, they're like election promises. Oftentimes like some emotional crap, manipulation. And you can't get like, or hope in a system like that to get like a good objective approach on every single fucking subject there is. You just have to accept it. We are biased as fuck. It's the fucking system. If we weren't biased, if we were absolutely objective as human beings, which, you know, we can get more close to being objective, but we can't absolutely be objective. Because we have egos, right? Ego is not objective because it wants to survive. I want to survive. Everybody wants to survive, okay? And these egos start to compete. And in the end, at least right now in politics, oftentimes ego means more than truth. So people get to push their wants through power and politics on other people fairly easily. They get to push their ego and their wants instead of like seeking for truth. That's not the primary goal. So it's like a very exploitative system. This is what I think. This is my experience. So society is a stochastic system. It's not easily predictable. It's like very difficult to predict anything. There's just so many different like emotions and people's unpredictable fucking wants and needs are being considered and so on. If it was like linear, like easy to understand system, you could predict pretty much anything that happens in the society. That would be super easy. It's like clouds forming is a stochastic system somewhat. It might form one way, it might form second way, third way. There are so many hundreds and thousands of ways a cloud can form or a shape it can take. That's society. While you take some kind of a like a cube. Let's say we put the cube on some rails. It can either go forward or it can go backwards. It's stuck there. It's very linear. And if you know the starting speed and everything, you can figure out how quickly and where it ends up. That's like a linear, predictable... How did you call that? Stochastic and... yeah, probabilistic. Maybe. Deterministic, yeah, because you can determine fairly easily the outcomes. The events. Like in politics and in society, like you can have like democracy one day and tyranny the other day. It's so random. It's not predictable at all. Like it's very random, in my opinion. And the same way, even within democracy or like a whatever free society, things are changing so unpredictably, just because some voters or whoever has a different mood. Because of ideologies and things that, you know, aren't really rational oftentimes. But when you compare past to the present, then just a couple of hundreds of years ago, even 100 years ago, world was a much more exploitative place to live in than it is now. Even though currently the fucking systems are super based on exploitation and stuff, but it's less exploited than it used to be, in my opinion. It will be interesting to know how that evolves. Because the more chances or more opportunities there are for exploitation, the more likely it is that some tyrant will emerge, or king, or some ruler that has way too much power. But now we have, from certain point onwards, we started to have democracy, which is like a milder version of governance that is more better distributed, so that it doesn't violate somebody's rights or doesn't just shit on somebody for no good reason. I wonder how it goes in the future. Like, I would like to think that it gets like even less exploitative, and some new like governance systems will emerge eventually that will allow much more optimal and much more objective ways of governance. And like voting, the way voting works right now, that will get solved really quickly. And this is not the best way to, organize society by just having all the people vote like that. I think this is really bad. It only looks like it gives everybody an opportunity. Well, it gives everybody an opportunity to choose somebody to be at the top. But there are no like a real like a good guarantees who you can vote for. Like, I could vote for some asshole who does something incredibly stupid. That's the problem. Like, or I could make a vote that is not like or give out the vote that's not thoughtful decision. I might think it's a good decision, but I might think it because I'm ignorant, So this is voting is such a random and such a bad emotional fucking thing. This is can't even. Because in my opinion, like, voting allows anybody to become who is willing to manipulate enough to manipulate big masses. It's again like it's massive exploitation. There's nothing else. There are not good in maybe if the rules of voting would become more rigid and better, then this exploitive element could be removed mostly. Yeah, right now it's just massive exploit fest. It's just anybody with some crazy ideas or ideologies could just win over big masses of people and come to power. It's like there is no good fundamental rules and regulations for that. We are not protected from our own biases or from human error. And we should be able to do this right now. Like, we are like intelligent enough to do that, in my opinion. Like, to write some kind of a error correction system so that we don't fuck ourselves up by by those same systems that we think that giving us freedoms and like ways for governing. It's like those same systems that allow us be democratic and have freedoms can be used to take those freedoms away and become something else. We could easily have some kind of an error correction system that minimizes that threat. It's like a really fucking important thing. That leads me to like one idea I had, like how could you, I've seen like this many times, how just politicians get away with shit, like just say some random fucking nonsensical bullshit and they take no responsibility, and what happens, like they say something that's wrong, that's biased, is logically incorrect. Some people realize it, some people don't. And those who don't realize it might, vote for that lie and manipulation. So you can see how fucking flawed the system is in that sense. So, if we could have an application or an artificial intelligence that would allow checking each person's or each politician's claims for validity, and I'm not saying just validity in the sense of just, is this a fact or not, or is this person, let's say politician claims that he was born in 1982, AI could check whether it's true or not using some database, right? But I mean like more fundamental level of checking whether the claim is logical and whether it has bias, or how much bias does it have in it. Because there can be levels to it. If that can be accomplished, and I think it can be accomplished, then anybody could use that app and verify whether what is being said actually is truthful, and does it have errors in it, logical errors, like is it a straw man, is it not a straw man. Problem with that again is that some people probably don't even care. Not everybody seeks out for truth, like maybe some people just want to believe in something. Some people just want to believe that there is some fucking hobbit living somewhere who's fucking doing things. What can you do? Like, what if people want to vote for things that are not truthful? What do you do then? They might have that application that allows them to detect lies and manipulation and illogic, but they don't care about it because they just don't want that. They want other things. And that's how politics is right now. Just the things that people want, not what is right. If you get enough people to vote for something, you can get whatever, almost. And obviously, if you use brute force, then you don't need the people's voice on that one. Just do whatever, like use brute force, fucking ignore people. Nobody asked people whether weed should be legal or illegal. It was just they used propaganda and fucking force. Nobody's asking you these things. So how do you solve that? Let's say you have this fucking artificial intelligence that detects illogic in what is being said. People don't want to use that. Could you enforce some kind of a law that those who are, accepting or who want misinformation or bias, that these people do not get the chance to vote, and people who spread ill information like illogic and use illogic basically to convince people of things that are not truthful, that those people don't get to be politicians. This is the kind of system that I would like to see. If you fucking lie or fucking use illogic, if you might try to manipulate, then you take responsibility for that. You don't get to be a politician. You don't get to rule. And those who choose, even though they know because of this application that shows them that this is not truthful information that's being presented to them, if they still choose to take that and vote for that, then these people don't get their vote. I think this would be like some kind of a system that I would like to see, error correction system, to prevent faulty system, to prevent this system to be like affected by human error. And immediately I think that would result in less exploitation. But good luck getting this thing implemented. People just want what they want. It's that simple. And they don't want to some objective thing, some AI to tell them that they can't have it because it wouldn't be right or wouldn't be truthful. But I think that this would be the only way to improve the system. Otherwise, you get people in power just ignore you. And it's that simple. They use illogic, cognitive biased. A cognitive bias is a systematic error in thinking that occurs when people are processing and interpreting information in the world around them and affects the decisions and judgments that they make. Cognitive bias is often a result of your brain's attempt to simplify information processing. Yeah, we are biased as fuck. And this is everywhere, like in politics. And the way the laws are made, they are biased. And this needs to fucking change. Because you can't have an effective long-term progress and system that result in flawless, like truthful results. You can't get that. You will have problems just because the fundamentals are not there, you know. We are fucking electing fucking idiots, and we are idiots ourselves. So it's like a massive fucking idiot fest, basically. Some monkeys throwing shit at each other, like this is politics. And we're like, oh, we didn't make progress this year. What could possibly be the case here? Why did it happen? Yeah. Whoever solves these issues is a fucking genius. Or a group of people, group of geniuses. Because it's such a difficult thing to solve. Because humans are so different in their abilities and wants and needs and ego. No matter what the system is, somebody wants to exploit the system. Somebody wants to, you know, grab fucking or steal something or make others their slaves. I've heard, I saw some kind of a banker talk about the 80-20 rule. And he said, that was years back when I saw this video. And I think he said something like that in the near future, because of the availability of information, the internet and all that, many more people will get access to education, and that means those edges get more like evened out. Like a good example would be like 100 years ago, back in the day, very few people were able to get education, either because of money or because there just weren't good enough school systems yet. And mostly you got educated by reading books or listening to some lecturer. And to get to that university or lecturer took a lot more effort, because you didn't have fucking, I don't know, that many vehicles. Transportation system wasn't there. But now you can access pretty much anything almost instantly as long as you have internet, and internet is like well connected web, and all these devices and education systems and everything that allows way many more people to educate themselves, either on their own or by going to some school. And that difference creates this fact that 80-20 rule becomes like 60-40 rule. Which means that when back in the day there was like, let's say, 20% of the people were had 80% of the resources, then in this guy's opinion at least, at some point we are closing in on this 60-40 rule, or it becomes a 60-40. Edges become smaller due to the fact that just competition there is more competition. It's not that easy to compete anymore. If you had the knowledge from today's world and you somehow magically had a time machine and you could go back like 1000 years, you could probably live like a king and be like top 000 whatever 1%, and pretty much some kind of a 99-1 rule would apply, because you just have the very rare knowledge that nobody else could possibly have. And this is what it comes down to pretty much. Even though, like, I've heard that people like complain like that more and more riches get concentrated amongst a select few, but I feel like it's overall, on average, like an average person is richer and richer with each passing year, because due to all this advancements in the way information is distributed and all that shit, and how producing different things get cheaper and cheaper. Like, if you were living somewhere in the fucking jungle like 500 years ago, you didn't have anything. It's that simple. Now, all you have to do is get yourself some kind of device, whatever it is, that would give you access to World Wide Web, and you could learn things that would allow you to, theoretically at least, make a lot of money and become very successful from pretty much anywhere. So that's big difference between past and now. The opportunities, theoretical at least, opportunities are like vastly higher. There are more opportunities now. way more opportunities. Doesn't mean that everybody will become like a programmer just because they have access to the information, obviously. People are different. Not everybody is able to realize their potential and so on. And not everybody has the potential, but you know, you get the point. On average, people have more opportunities. When I was a kid, the first PC that I had was ZX Spectrum 48 kilobyte ZX Spectrum, and I think it had like 8-bit graphics. And I remember people using analog landline phones, or how you call them. If you wanted to make a long distance call, you had to contact some kind of a long distance call center or something like that. There were no mobile phones. And then all of a sudden there were better PCs. And even better, and even better, and even better. And floppies got fucking replaced by fucking USB sticks and CDs and shit like that. And then you had SSDs all of a sudden, and the amount of information you were able to store got increased massively. And the amount of RAM you could have on your PC got increased a lot. And now everybody just walks around with a cell phone or a mobile phone, which is like almost like a mini computer. You can access World Wide Web through it easily. This is insane, like progress that has been happening with like last, I don't know, 20 let's say 25, 30 years, something like that, is insane. But that's probably like nothing. Who the fuck knows? It takes a genius to actually predict where we are going to end up in the next 20 years. It can be that fucking big of a change. Such a big change that nobody would believe when you talk about it. Like, nobody would ever believe that it's even possible. Would really like to know what that thing is, though. One of those things could be, for example, like recording your own dreams. At some level, it has already been done, but it's probably not as accurate yet. It's not like a HD movie. It's not like colorful and high resolution, detailed yet. But theoretically, if it exists in your mind, shouldn't you be able to recreate that somehow? so that you can create record that and represent that. So that would probably be a huge thing, probably like a big for entertainment purposes, at least. Dude, I have spent 1 hour 37 minutes talking. It's fucked up. I remember when I was younger, then sometimes I was at a friend's place and he had a dial-up modem. We did all kinds of stuff with that shit, and the damn thing was so slow. I remember the noises it made. Now you fucking download things that are fucking thousands of times bigger than that in less time. It's pretty crazy. Fucking amazing. I like the time that I have been born into. I feel like this is my time. With all this technology and stuff. Even going to space and... really, really amazing.